All right, I got my patterns traced out, and I'm gonna get this cut out, and I think I'm gonna do a very small quilted pattern across the whole thing, and then maybe a nice border. I don't know yet. Let me get this cut out and think about it. And then I'm gonna get my, it's not a tripod, but it's similar to that. And I'll let you watch. I haven't been doing much. Life has been a little different around here, and we've kind of had to make some accommodations. And anyway, I'm gonna get back to, my normal life, making knives and doing other stuff, but we have had a hectic couple of weeks, and just trying to get used to things without Sonny, I guess that's what I'm saying. Anyway, we're just trying to get back to normal. And this is all I got. I'm gonna spend a couple hours out here today doing this, and then I'm gonna go back home, and soon I'm going to get back in my knife shop and make a knife to fit this. So I'm gonna make this as awesome as I know how. And then, boy, my hands sure are dark. And one day I woke up and I realized I had old skin. Isn't that something? And age spots. Boy, these hands, I tell you what, that middle finger got cut off when I was a kid, and I wish to God they had never sewed it back on. It hurts my entire hand, and I only have these two good fingers. These two fingers don't work very well, and it's because of this finger. So anyway, let me get this cut out and go search and try to find my phone holder, and I'll be back. All right, the very first thing I'm going to do is take my edge beveler, and I'm going to bevel the edge of my belt loop. And while you were gone, I cut a couple grooves here, so this will fold over like that a little easier. And that's going to be my belt loop. It gets sewed on like that, and then folded over, and then sewed on down here, somewhere over here. And now I'm going to take my edge beveler and bevel the edges, and then I'm going to put it on my burnisher, the burnishing machine right there, and burnish the edges. And then I'm going to do the same from here all the way around here to here. And the reason is it's hard to do. Once this is folded over, it's hard to put on the burnishers. So, and I'm not going to be sewing here, so I'm going to get that done now. I won't make you watch. I'll just show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so feel free to scroll forward. I'm going to shut my heater off. It's already warmed up. Now I'll just turn it down. There we go. Feel free to scroll forward. I'm not going to keep getting up and shutting you off. Although when I get to sewing this, I'll shut it off. Okay, this is my edge, my, what do you call this? Groover, stitching groover, for the love of God, Brad. And I'm going to run a stitching groove all the way around the edge, including the top up here. And I'm going to start here. Okay. And I'm wearing gloves because I'll get oil. I'm going to use a different kind of stain on this, not an alcohol stain, an oil stain. And the oil stain will pick up my fingerprints because I'm a greasy Italian. Okay. Now I'm going to start marking out my lines that I'm going to, one second, where is it? There it is. This is my other stitching groover, but I'm going to use this to make my lines, and I'm going to make some small lines. This is going to be quilted, and you know what? Let me. I'm going to go ahead and mark these with a scribe. So I'm going to do this the whole sheath, and you don't have to sit here and watch. You can scroll forward. I won't know. Okay, now that they're gone. Because I have to turn this around and do the cross hatch the other way too, so it's going to be a while. All right, let me go ahead and try this just to make sure it's going to be deep enough and putting them where I want them. Yep, going to be good. I'm going to go ahead and do these. Here's a phenomenon that's occurring on my channel in my comment section. The YouTube algorithm, bots, safe speech, trigger mechanism. Man, I just can't put my finger on what words they don't like, because I'm answering comments and my own replies are being removed, and it's nothing. Not politics, it's absolutely nothing that you would think would be removed, and I just don't understand it. It's, there's no figuring what it is that angers the YouTube bots. And I'm really getting tired of it, really. You know, I may just go ahead and cut the middleman out and pull my groove down through there without scribing it. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what it is that's angering the YouTube bots, but comment after comment. I'll reply to a comment, and then later, it'll post, and then I'll go back and my comment will be gone. My reply will be gone. Just no figuring it. There's no figuring out what it is that the bots don't like. It's not a human. I'm sure it's an algorithm. It's Seems kind of close for some reason. There we go. You know, I'm sure there are people that are insulted that I ask what I ask for my knives, but I wish I could explain to you, number one, how much it costs to make not just a knife, but the leather for the sheaths, the thread. I mean, everything I got here is wickedly expensive. This was like 170, 180 bucks just to grind a groove, just to cut a groove. There's nothing, absolutely nothing cheap about making knives and making sheaths. And, you know, I've been guilty of this. I've seen leather workers in the past at, you know, shows and looked at the prices, and I was just thinking, you are gotta be insane asking that much. And then when I started doing my own leather work, I realized, oh my God, there's nothing cheap about leather. I mean, unless you're buying it from, you know, Pakistan, and then you get what you get. But good quality tools, and I have mentioned this before, I'll mention it again. If you are starting out in knife making or leather working, don't waste your money on junk tools, because you'll just have to buy good tools, and then you'll have the cost of the good tools and the cost of the junk tools. And Tandy has two levels of tools. Cheap, like this, and expensive, like this. And if you plan on staying in the game, spend the money on the expensive ones. They're worth it. They make your work look better. They make it easier for you to get better at leather work also. I've only done this like 3 or 4 times, so I'm having to go really slow, because all it takes is one screw up and your whole sheath is gone, and that's a lot of time that you've invested only to have to start fresh with a new piece of leather. So this is my 3rd attempt at a sheath for the Plurabilis XLV. And in case you don't know, Plurabilis is Latin for deplorable. XLV is the number 45. And again, I'm not like a Trump nut. I voted for him both times, but Trump had his faults. So I'm not like all in 100% for Trump just because he's Trump. Trump was the lesser of all evils as far as I'm concerned. But he's praised Klaus Schwab, if you know who he is. He has been to the WEF, and he's a draft dodger. And if you don't know that Trump is a draft dodger. He's no better than Biden, who is also a draft dodger. When Trump's number was called and he ran out of deferments, he suddenly developed bone spurs, which is funny because the Democrats gave him the nickname of bone spurs, and Biden is when his deferments ran out, he suddenly developed asthma and couldn't go serve his country. Isn't that something? How these doctors, if you're rich, you can find a reason to get out of serving your country and then become in a position where you get to send other men to their deaths. So Biden and Trump are cut from the same cloth as far as honor and decency. That's my opinion. And that's coming from a veteran, just so you know. So I have a right to have that opinion, and so do you. Because people volunteer and, have helped to keep this country strong. And then other people, when their country calls, finds a reason to not be home. And then, on the other hand, as I've gotten older, I have less and less. I have more of an understanding of draft dodgers, and maybe they were smarter than I thought, because this country has been involved in so many wars that we have absolutely no right to be a part of, and unjust wars that we had no reason to be doing what we did. So do I want to do squares or do I want to do triangles? I think I'll do not triangles, diamonds. So here we go. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that'll work. And this country now, there's no way on earth I would go fight a war that this country's in, because we are not in a single just war. Not a single one. And my opinion is that very soon there's going to be a draft, because they can't find meat to pull triggers. And I don't believe I'm alone in this. I think a lot of people, even veterans, think this way. This is a horrible, dishonest, corrupt government, and there's no way I'm going to send my kid to die for it. Now, it's a whole different story if our country is attacked from, if they're here. Of course, I would take up a gun and defend my homeland, just like the Iraqis did. Where the weapons of mass destruction were. Oh, wait, there weren't any. Yep. I'm not bitter. My eyes are open, though, and I see this country for what it is. Just as corrupt as every other country that we have attacked. It's not the people. It's the government. I still love my country. I fly my flag. But I despise this government. And politicians in general are all of the same ilk. Crooked, dishonest, self-serving, greedy liars. I said that in one breath. Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence that Hamas attacked Israel with weapons sent to them from Afghanistan. Was it Afghanistan that they left $83 billion worth of military equipment? Or was it Iraq? I can't, no, it was Afghanistan. And that was Biden's doing. If Joe Biden, and I'll use a Matthew Perry thing, could he be any stupider? Oh. I thought this was... Matthew Perry died suspiciously in a hot tub. Okay, you know, he was into drugs and he had, you know, addiction problems. But did you know? And this is not conspiracy theory. This is, I mean, you do a little research and you can find it out for yourself. Matthew Perry spent a lot of time visiting a certain island belonging to a man who suddenly, if I say much, you know how it is. If I say a whole lot. But Matthew Perry visited that island often. And he was fixing to testify in court against a certain large family that begins with a C. And then suddenly he's found dead in his hot tub. Nothing suspicious about that. Just like Vince Foster committed suicide, shot himself in the head twice, and then dragged himself out into the woods. Vince Foster. That's the fella that had a whole bunch of dirt on that same family. I like it. Yeah, I've gotten very, very cynical in my old age. I see this world for what it is, corrupt. And power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts, absolutely. Yeah, my wife is still having a real hard time getting past the death of Sonny. You know, I think people have a need to nurture and love something. And neither one of us got to raise our children. I won't go into why. Doesn't matter. Doesn't change anything. And we're not the only ones this has happened to. Whoever has the most money and the better lawyer gets the kids. and then they don't have to adhere to court-mandated visitations and nothing like that, because the court's on their side. It's always been like that. It's still like that. Anyway, if you do have that sort of personality, a nurturing personality, and you crave something to love and raise and worry about when you're gone, and you turn to cats or dogs, or raccoons or bobcats. No, I'm not saying that my friend with a bobcat who passed away, I'm not saying that I don't know if they got kids or not. I'm just saying that some people just have this desire to share their love with animals if they can't share it with people. And some people are fortunate enough to have people they can share that love with. And some people, like my wife and I, are not. I mean, there's people that we love, but they're not our children. All right. Now I'm going to do something. Now for something completely different. Oh, I don't know if I showed you that, but I cut 3 little grooves there so this thing will fold over a little easier. And another spritz or 2 on this side. Now, I'm going to find something really cool. And I think I'll use this tiny, tiny little one. No, that's just a little too small. It's called a cedar, but I have one that's slightly bigger. Here we go. There's a whole lot of tapping, so like I say, you can scroll forward if you like. You know what? I gotta do something else. This is gonna be time consuming. When our first dog died, Joe, we had Joe for 14 years. We got him when he was 6 months old from the pound. And the first few years, I can't say that I loved the dog like I would a human or a child. But slowly, I found a part in my heart that I did not know existed. And that was the kind of love I felt for that dog. I didn't know a person could love a dog like that. You know, lots of people still think, oh, it's just an animal. And I feel sorry for those people who have never experienced the love that I had for Joe. Because I think it's good for a person to feel that kind of love. Certainly good for a dog. And when Joe died, oh my God, I thought I was gonna have a heart attack. I actually felt pain in my chest that I'd never experienced before. And it took me a very long time to stop crying over Joe. And Joe was a very unique dog. He was, it's weird to attribute a human trait to a dog. But Joe was a kind dog. And if you've ever had a kind dog, you know what I'm talking about. Joe cared about your feelings. And if you were upset or nervous or stressed, Joe would sense it. And he would come sit with you or love on you or make you play. And he had childish tendencies. Yeah, I kind of went astray on this, so, but that's all right. You won't even notice it. Yeah, Joe was a good dog. I still miss that dog, and I used to feel guilty about having him in the truck, but Joe loved being in the truck his entire life, from birth. Well, from 6 months old to his death. I mean, he died in the truck. His entire life was in that truck, and Joe loved being in the truck. And I know this because we would go home, and I would park the truck in front of my house. Joe would go out there and stand at the truck. He was ready to, if you walked by the truck, he wanted in. I think because he got to nap, and he got to stop and smell all over the country. All over the country. You know, I don't know if you can hear this because that phone has an automatic noise dampening system, and I don't know if it's muting my voice because of this hammering, so I'll just keep talking. Who knows? Yeah, I think about Joe, and it doesn't take much to make me get a little weepy for him. I miss that dog. Yeah, Joe loved being in the truck. And then we went 2 years without a dog after Joe died. We just didn't have the heart to move on. 2 years it took us to get over Joe. And then I found Sonny. All right. And Sonny, I was at a restaurant, and as I came out of the restaurant, there was a pet shop next door, and they had a big sign out there that said, "Come pet the puppies." And, you know, who could resist? So I went in and picked up a puppy, and that was Sonny. And that was the end of it. And I went home, got $400, and came back and went home with Sonny. And from that, for 16 years, we loved that dog every second of her life. She was just the sweetest little dog. Play, And she would bring, I think that's the thing about a dog too, is they bring out things in people that they don't normally show. I'm going to go ahead and put one here, just light. Yeah, dogs bring out something in people that humans don't. I mean, you're always on your guard with humans just because of humans' nature for violence and deceit and lying, and dogs have none of that. None of that. So you can completely let your guard down with a dog and not worry about somebody cheating you or stealing from you or lying to you. Yeah, if people were like dogs, this world would be a perfect place. Let me see if Joe's at, if Breezy's at the door. Are you there? No? Breezy? I called my wife and told her to let Breezy out, and she said, no, he's sound asleep in my lap. When I get up, when he wakes up, I'll let him out. I thought I heard him at the door. So this sheath here is the first of the new style. And the stain I'm going to use is an oil stain instead of an alcohol-based stain. And what it'll do is I'll rub it on, and then I'll take a rag and wipe it off. And all the areas that I have cut or stamped will be dark, and the rest of the leather will be a lighter color. It's just really nice. And then I've decided what I'm going to do on the edge, on the very edge, right up to the stitching line, is use a very dark dye. So, yeah, I got some plans. This is going to be a really nice sheath, I hope. Yeah, it's a real light one here. There we go. You might think this is a bit busy, but when I get the stain on it, it'll all come together. So, I don't thank you often enough for being a part of my life. I think of some of you as family, and some I've grown to care about like I would care about family. And I'm grateful for the time that you give me. And I thank you for being a part of my family. I'm only tapping it once because I just hit this with water and it's taking the tooling a little better and holding it. And if you hit it too hard, you can tell. We're getting there. Okay. Now, oh, you know what? Should I do the back of that? Yeah, I don't think so. No, but I am going to stamp it a little bit. Let me put a little water on that. No, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put a little border on it. All right, now we die. All right, where are you? Let me stand up and get my die. All right, we're going to do one called Briar Brown. Alrighty. That probably shook you like crazy because you're on this table. This table is really wiggly. right, let me clean this out. Let's see, I'm gonna need this. Oh, I forgot to do the back. So I'm gonna need a little bit more of that. Oh, come on. All right, let me get these off because I hate these things. Clean this up. Give me just a second. Won't take too long. All right. Okay, so now I got to put the belt loop on. And I think it right there. You know what, I'm not going to make you watch me sew because it's a little time consuming and it's even more boring than stamping. So when I get this sewed up, I'll be back. Well, I got that belt loop sewed on. I've got this epoxied together and I got to let it dry a few minutes. And then I want to sew that. And then I got a bunch of edge burnishing to do. So we'll be back in a minute. Well, for you, it'll just be like a click. But for me, it'll be about 20 minutes. There we go. Alrighty. So I've got it all sewed. And now I'm going to black the edges. And I think I'm going to bring the black right up to my stitching groove. We'll see. haven't burnished my edges yet. I got to put the dye on, because once you burnish the edges and you put wax on it, it won't take dye. So you got to dye it before you burnish the edges. Did I say burnish the edges enough? And Breezy finally made it down here. Had his little nap. What are you doing? What'd you find to eat? For the love of God, what did you find to eat, huh? Who knows? Who knows? All right. Now I need to put some wax on this and put it on my burnisher, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. This is almost done. Okay. Now it is going to dry a little bit lighter, and the marks, the tooling that I put there will be a little darker, and the part that's not tooled will be a little lighter. So this is what we got. And the edge will actually look shinier tomorrow, because I gotta let this wax cool and harden. And then you buff it like you would a pair of shoes. Okay, if my wife doesn't have any plans for me tomorrow, I'm gonna make a knife. I'm gonna make plurabilis. I think I'm gonna use a synthetic handle, and I'm only gonna put a satin finish on it, because my next knife, I want it to be a using knife. And so we'll start that tomorrow. So if you've made it this far, my God, I owe you money. Alrighty. I didn't put my stamp on it because really I didn't want to mess up my tooling. You like that? I kind of like that. All right. Thanks for watching. Well, this morning I'm going to make a sheath. I'm going to do this kind of backwards. I'm making a new style sheath for the new style knife, and then I'll make a knife for it. But I come out here to give Ruth Cat a little nutrition. She's actually eating better today. I wonder if maybe she did have a toothache. I'm gonna let her finish eating before I go inside, because I don't want to move and She's kind of a big old cat, don't you think? She's got a bit of a belly. I think they call it chunky. And I don't know how, when she gets scared, she jumps up through that little crack right there. It's like, that's a 2x4, so it's actually 3.5 inches. So she can fit through 3.5 inch space. So it's got to be mostly fur. All right. We'll be in the leather shop here in 2 seconds. I got a heater running in there. In 10 minutes it'll be warm because it's a tiny room.